Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced. And this is a game from 1957 Moscow, Russia. And this game was played by one of the greatest players of all time in their time. And they were the elites. We have with the white pieces Mikhail Tal, former world champion. And we have also David Bronstein. And this game, you're definitely going to enjoy it. So without further ado, let's start with this game. And Tal with the white piece starts with d4. We have c6, c4, and just knight to f6. We have knight to c3, d5, just immediately striking in the center, knight to f3, and just g6. And now we have c captures just exchanging in the center, and we have bishop to f4, but just knight to c6. And now we all the four knights are developed, and now both players are just gonna fiend get to the bishop, castle here, and gonna have a great game. Here we have just e3, now bishop to g7, and just bishop to e2. Now both players are ready to castles, and we have this knight to h5, just attacking the bishop, but now this bishop to e5, not allowing the trade to happen that way. Well, you could trade with the knight, but that would be, well, not that good. Here, just f6, just pushing the bishop back, bishop to g3, and just knight captures. We have edge captures and just bishop to e6, hindrance of pushing this pawn right about now, but you could always just develop in the future as well. So here, just queen to b3 was played, but now just knight to a5, attacking the queen, and now for queen to b4, bishop back to f7. Now, finally, that move is going to be available, but we have this rook f to d1, and here we have e6, not just pushing it right away, because with Tal you always have to be careful. And we have e4. Here rook to b8 was played, just aligning this very nicely. And also you have to be very much careful with this. Obviously the knight is going to go back somewhere, because you don't want to keep it at the edge of the board. Definitely not something you want to do. Here just queen back to a3, but just b5. And here just b4 was played, but now just knight to c4. And now just we have this queen caps on a7, Tal finally grabbing that pawn. And if I mean, you're technically not supposed to grab that pawn. I mean, your queen can very much get trapped, because that is the only line your queen can fall back upon. But it's going to be very difficult to actually trap Tal's queen. Here bishop back to e8 was played, but just this bishop caps on c4. That knight was very strong, you have to eliminate it nonetheless. Here rook to f7 was played, attacking the queen. And the best move in this position is just queen back to a6. Yes, not queen exactly back to, to where it came from, but just queen back to a6. And here after d captures, now you'll play a move like queen caps on c6. And only now, once the bishop moves, now you'll play this e5, just attacking and opening those pawns lines and just getting those knights into the game. And here after bishop to d7, attacking the queen, queen to d5, queen to b6, but just now this a4. Here bishop captures on b4, that pawn is free. Knight caps on b5, bishop captures, a captures, and queen captures. And now once the queen moves, now slowly but surely you'll get this pass pawn as white, and as black you're going to get this pass pawn. You're going to get this position where white is very much better and definitely on the line of winning the game. But here after rook to f7, queen back to a3 was played, and it's just a little bit of a passive move. And here just b caps on c4 was played. As I told you, that d captures on c4 was much better. But here just e captures on d5, and after this captures we have queen back to b2. And now you see these pass pawns are going to be very much vicious as opposed to the black's pass pawn. Now we have g5, but now just queen to d2. We have rook caps on b4, just giving up that pass pawn for actually some activity. And we have this knight caps on d5, just grabbing that pawn, and you cannot actually capture this, because if you do, it's very much simple, you're going to lose the rook. So here just rook to b8, rook back to b8, and just knight to e3. And we have this rook to c8, but now just rook a c1. We have rook f to c1. And here the best move in this position, you're going to be have to very much careful, because you have a lovely position, the knights are rightly placed, the queen and the rook battery is acting very nicely, you have two pass pawns, but you're going to have to place them very much eagerly, because black also have two very weird looking bishops, because they are not on the right squares. But if black is able to activate those bishops, black is definitely going to have a great game. So here the best move is just d5, just pushing that pawn, making room for your knights, and you're going to have a great game. And here after a move like rook to c5, now you play this knight to d4. And only after bishop to d7, now you play this rook to c3, bishop to f8, and just rook d to c1. Now you're targeting that pawn, and also just protecting your pass pawn and pushing it as well. And here after a move like f5, now you play knight to f3. And after queen to f6, now you play this rook caps on c4. And after just pushing the knight back, now you play knight to d4. And after rook captures, now you play this rook back to e8. And you'll get this position where you have successfully captured that pawn. That pawn was up for grabs, but you have to capture it in a strategic manner. Otherwise, you don't want to give back your too much advantage that you've gotten in the game. And with this position, you can see that black is just pushed off to a back foot, and you can see that you're the one pushing here. And slowly but surely, you're going to push this game towards a victory. And in Tal's hands, it's definitely going to be winning. But here Tal again missing played rook to c3 right away, just pushing, just getting those rook doubled up and attacking that pawn. But here just bishop to g6 was played, and now it's a bit troublesome because if you play this, black always has that resource, and it's not that good of a resource, but at the end of the day it does the job even if he prevents you capturing that pawn for a few more moves. Here rook d to c1 was played, but now just rook back to f7, and here just d5, just going for that, but it's a little bit slow move now because that would have happened a lot more faster and you would have gotten a very amazing position. And here bishop back to f8, but now just a3, and here bishop to c5, but now just rook captures. Finally getting rid of that pawn, we have bishop caps on a3, rook caps on c7, rook captures, queen captures, rook captures, and queen captures, and now we have queen to d4. But now you can see that it's going to be a little bit more painful, but it's going to get the job done. But that was the very quickest way that you would have gotten the job done. Here king to h2, but now just queen to b2, asking for a queen trade. Is the queen trade favorable for you in this position? Well, pause the video and try and find out yourself. So congratulations to everyone who's able to find it out. The queen trade is definitely not, because if you capture it in this position, unfortunately for white, it turns into a draw, because if you capture here and after bishop captures, now you can see that all your advantage you have lost, and only after a few more moves you'll be able to realize that it's just not converting into a win even after an extra pass pawn, because there's two knights against two bishops, and even if you have an extra pass pawn, in the end game you can just give up the bishop for this pawn. Even if it reaches to that square, I don't think it's going to reach to that square, but even if it does, and still you're going to be able to hold white to a draw, so you'll give all your advantage away. You don't want to do that. So here you just move the queen away and you're still winning. Here bishop to f8, but now just knight to d4. Slowly but surely you're getting the knights into the game, and your king is very much vulnerable for black. Here h5, but just knight d to c2, and here just queen to b7, knight back to d4, queen to b2 was played, but now just this knight to e6 and just queen caps on f2. And now you're going to have to be very much careful. Those bishops are not doing very much, but if black queen gets a perpetual, you're gonna just lose a winning game here to a draw. Here just this knight to f5, but now just h4. Now black is definitely pushing, but it's just impossible here to do anything for black, because both of your bishops are there holding on to DLI. If your king is just there, I mean, you cannot do anything with them, and they are just a liability at this point. Here just knight caps on f8 was played, h caps was on g3, and just moving this king back to h3, and you're gonna have to be very much careful for these kinds of things. So here just queen to g1, but now just king caps on g3. King captures on f8, but now just queen to e7 check, and it was on this move, on move 46, that here Tigran Petrosian resigned. On this move, on move 46, that David Bronstein resigned the game, and a spectacular victory for Tal. Why he resigned? Because it's very much simple. Here, once you move to king to g8, now you see the idea, because it's mate in 8. Because now, as soon as you move, now you play this queen caps on g6, and it's very much difficult to stop the mate. I mean, I don't know how you're going to survive it, but even if you try a few more moves, queen to even check, king to h2, queen to h4 check, sacrificing the queen even. But now once you capture, G captures, queen caps on f7, the king moves, and now you trap the king, and slowly but surely the king has to move, and only one square, and you're gonna get checkmated. So yeah, David Bronstein saw all of that, so he didn't want to go all the way towards the mate. So on move 46 he resigned the game. And Tal, it was Tal's early days, and in his early days he was able to get a win against such a strong opponent such as David Bronstein. So it's a great feat. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with such games, so stay tuned for that. I mean, the best thing you can do is analyze the past games. I mean, they teach you a lot the modern games can never do. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you all.